Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and can I welcome you to the Cambridge and Peterborough Pavilion. How wonderful to be hosted by Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authority. We're so grateful to you, Rob and team, and you've been so hospitable and brilliant. We're deeply grateful. I have to begin by introducing myself. My name's Jackie Sadek, and I'm the independent chair of the UK Innovation Corridor. I have a very illustrious panel to introduce you to also. But just to say a few words actually about the Innovation Corridor and how we got into this East of England investment prospectus stuff, which I think we'll spin out during the course of the next hour. It's been quite a journey we've all been on. The UK Innovation Corridor stretches from London through Stansted up to Cambridge and Peterborough, and we're super grateful to the Combined Authority who have been fantastic supporters of ours right the way through, right from your inception really. And we cover that entire geography with a GVA of 284 billion. We are probably the closest thing the UK's got to Silicon Valley. We've got a way to go before we are Silicon Valley, in that Silicon Valley's got a GVA of 800 billion plus, but we've got aspirations and we could do so much better. As a result of all of our aspirations and the fact that we needed to focus on inward investment into the corridor, we launched our own inward investment prospectus back in January with Charles and Hamlin, and it went down a storm with investors in that these were all new projects to market. They'd all been brilliantly packaged up and they were all investable, ready to go and investable projects. So we suddenly became kind of leaders of the pack in all of this, and were asked then by the all-party parliamentary group to take on stewarding the East of England Inward Investment Prospectus, which covers the whole of Norfolk, Suffolk, Cambridgeshire, Peterborough obviously, Hertfordshire, Bedfordshire, and I've missed one, Essex, sorry, forgive me. So quite a big old region, and I have to say a very, very exciting region, some of which has never been brought to market attention before. So as a result of this, poor Jack Abbott was put up as our chair of our East of England Inward Investment Working Group. Jack is the mission champion for the East of England for the government. He'll tell you a bit more about that in a moment. And what a great title, huh? Mission champion. I just love all of that. And has done a stonking job in pulling this out of the bag in just a matter of a few months. And what you're going to hear tonight is a fantastic story of how he's corralled the troops, all the stakeholders, and brought them all into the same place, whereby we're now looking with a very laser focus at the opportunity to attract inward investment to the East of England. This is just the start of an iterative process, and we'd like you all to come on this journey with us. So how it's going to work this evening is Jack is going to give us a keynote address. We're then going to have a bit of a panel session with my panel. I will introduce them all in a minute. We're then going to throw it open to questions and answers from the audience, and then we're going to get into the meat of it, whereby the sponsor gets up and tells us why a commercial organisation has put real money into this, and then Gavin Winbanks, who is a bit of the star of the show really, will get up and talk to us about the meat and drink of the actual inward investment prospectus. So let me introduce my panel. Rob Bridge doesn't really need to be introduced to this audience, in that he is of course Chief of Staff, Chief Executive for the Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authority. Before that, he was at Northants, where he took that local authority unitary, which must have been one hell of a task. He's the man for the job. He really has got a grip on the Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authority, and we're super grateful to him for being here and for hosting us this evening. I then have to go on to Peter Merchant from Octopus Real Estate. Now, Peter is the real deal for us in that he is a proper investor with real money. So all get in the queue afterwards, because we're going to be pimping him out. It's absolutely.
We're only speaking in East Anglia.
He's only spending in East Anglia. He covers a range of geographies. He's got over 20 years of experience in a number of different property sectors, in a number of different geographies. He really knows his stuff. He is now head of social. Is it investment to social housing?
Investment in affordable housing. Yeah.
Into affordable housing. So he is our man, really, a proper investor, and we're really grateful to him for being on the panel. Jack Abbott MP is MP for Ipswich. He is, as I've already said, mission champion for the East of England, which I think is the greatest job title ever. Before he got elected in July 2024, so he's part of the new intake, very highly regarded, I might tell you, in Whitehall. But before that, he was steeped in energy. He's got proper expertise in energy, in investment in energy, in green energy, clean energy. He really knows his stuff. So he was the man, really, to lead our Inward Investment Working Group, and we're super grateful to him. So, Jack, can I ask you, please, to introduce the work of the group?
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much, Jackie, for that really warm and kind introduction. So for anyone who missed it, my name is Jack Abbott. I'm the very proud MP for Ipswich. And as Jackie's already said, I've been given the very grand title of Mission Champion for the East of England. And I have to say, it's a nice little ego boost when you're watching BBC Look East. And when they announce this news, they start playing the Champions League music. And you're thinking, oh, well, that's right. I have to say, it's a massive ego deflation when you turn to your girlfriend who's looking at you as if to say, I can't believe you made them play the Champions League music. And there's a few other kind of choice words as well that she used to describe that as well. So it was a nice, humbling, grounding experience, which I'm sure is very important as an MP. I was also very kindly asked to chair this really important work of the East of England's Inward Investment Group. And it's with that, I'm incredibly proud to launch the prospectus here today. This prospectus contains 8 very significant landmark projects, and they represent the breadth of talent, innovation and entrepreneurship we have here in the East of England, from Cambridgeshire in the west to my home county of Suffolk in the east. And every one of these projects are not just good in and of themselves, but they have the potential to be truly transformative for the areas and communities in which they are situated. And in that sense, although there will be a £4 billion label in this prospectus, I've even underplayed already how significant this is. This prospectus could be worth even more than that. It can be a real catalyst for thousands of well-paid, secure, skilled jobs, billions of pounds investment, not just generated by these schemes, but also the investment they could inspire in future years too. And so in short, they're not just good for investors like we're speaking to today. They're not just good for the businesses as well, but they're good for local people and the towns and cities in which they're situated. Even further still, these projects and the prospectus are a statement of intent for our region, and that's something that I really want everyone to take away. It might be a cliche, but it's no exaggeration to say that this is more than the sum of its parts. It is the first step in a long-term project of renewal, of ambition, of fresh impetus in a region that's already delivering so much. And since I was elected last July, I've made it very clear that Ipswich, Suffolk and the East of England cannot just talk about our potential. We must be squarely focused on actually delivering it. And I'm really pleased there is a group of people here in this room, but also across our region, including some of my colleagues who know the imperative of action too. People who are as ambitious for our region as are our residents, and people who are not just fighting for a seat at the table, but fighting for a table all to ourselves. And we all know that national initiative is necessary, but that alone is not sufficient for our region to kick on, and that we as local MPs, stakeholders and other colleagues in the room need to drive forward the change ourselves. This team is not just waiting for success to fall into our laps, but it's one that's earning success every day with our ambition, our drive and our desire to really kick on and deliver a brighter future that this prospectus promises. And it truly is a team of people behind this work, a team from different political parties, from inside of outside of politics, of industry leaders, businesses, local authorities, and so much more beside. And they've put in hundreds of hours into making this prospectus as incredible and inspiring as it is. At this point, I'd like to say just a few thank yous. I know we usually do this at the end, Jackie, but I think it is important to do it now, just so everyone hears it. The first is actually to my colleague John Joe, who sat there with the camera. Absolutely. John Joe has put in significant hours, and every MP will tell you it's the team behind you that really make what you do amazing. So while I'm the face of this, John Joe is certainly the brains and the drive behind it too. A special thanks has to go to Gavin and Valeria from Whitehawk Green, to today's chair, Jackie and the UK Innovation Corridor, Canda for your very, very generous sponsorship and effort, all the local authority leaders and officers for their on-ground expertise and invaluable contributions, and to all those businesses and industry leaders who advise on the production of this prospectus. And of course, thank you to you, the CPCA, for hosting us here today. It's really, really gratefully received. But as incredible as this prospectus is, today is not the final chapter or the full stop of our inward investment work. This is just the start. So my call to all investors in the room and outside is this: please help us make these inspiring and incredible projects a reality. Help us drive forward not just these 8 individual projects, but cast a vote of confidence in our region and back the East of England, the region that, given the right backing, will never cease to deliver. Ipswich means business, Suffolk certainly means business, but East of England, our region, means business too. Thank you very much.
Well, can I thank you, Jack? Because I have to say, without your strong, authoritative leadership, we would not have got here. And I'm not trying to be funny here. We might have broken a few eggs along the way, but we did need to make this omelette, didn't we? I mean, when I was working in government back in the day, and this was in the mid-10s, and I got stuck into the East of England, I was absolutely astonished at what an undersung story it is. So thank goodness you are now shining a spotlight on it. It really is fantastic. We're super grateful to you. Thank you very much indeed. If I didn't say this earlier, there are drinks after this event over in the Estuary Cafe, which will be frog marching you over there later on. And you can buttonhole Jack and he'll give you all his war stories later on. But I have to say, it's been an incredible process. I've worked with Gavin Winbanks for many, many years. I first worked with him when he was in what was then UKTI, UK Trade and Industry, and he went on to DBT's forebears and then eventually set up the Office for Investment for Number 10. So he's the best in the business, really, in terms of packaging up public sector projects for the private sector. He's ex-Macquarie and he is the real deal. He's bloody ruthless, right? He really is ruthless. So if your project didn't make the cut this time around, keep working with him, guys, because it will make it sooner or later. The 8 that are in the inward investment prospectus are the ones that we can thoroughly defend as proper investable propositions. Trust me, and Peter will bear me out, you do not get a second chance. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression with the market. When you go to them, you will need all your facts and figures, your planning, your land assembly, what is where and how, your utilities. You need it all sorted out. You need to have a robust handle on it before you take it to market. And that is the discipline that Gavin's put into this process. Some of our stakeholders are still working on it and continue to work on it because, of course, as I say, it's an iterative process. Hopefully, when we get here this time next year, we will have double the number of projects. But it's a bloody good start. Let me tell you, to have 8 ready projects is a really good start. 14, I beg your pardon, got the numbers wrong. Where do we get 8 from? I don't know. Anyway, look, let's get on to the panel. I need you to unpack a little bit of what Jack's just said and talk to us a little bit about it. I'm going to ask you some leading questions, but of course, in the manner of all true panellists, you just answer the question you want to. How can the East of England best share the benefits of its economic and technological strengths across the region to increase investment? Rob?
Do you want to read the question again?
Well, not really, actually. Rob, why is this a good idea? Come on.
So, I mean, I'm not going to answer your question directly. I'm going to broaden it out, actually, as you gave me permission to. I think one of the important things for all of us is if we're going to get investors to really contribute to the growth that we need, they need certainty. And the way they get certainty is strong pipelines and investment prospectus, local growth plans. And today I've been in a number of sessions around wealth funds and investment portfolios that I think actually will make a major, major difference about how we get public and private sector partnership to deliver these types of things, because there isn't lots of money, right? But what is really clear is procurement can be a barrier to doing these things, and actually through these funds there's a real focus about how they can make that easier. But actually what they need is the certainty. So the key thing about having a prospectus that has been cut to make sure it's really strong is that actually gives certainty to the market. So that's why these sorts of documents and the ones we're doing as a mayoral combined authority across the country with the local growth plans are absolutely critical to then drawing in that investment.
And they've all the stakeholders have been involved. So people like Transport East and Anglian Water and all these people have all been involved in this and are all signed up to this process. So, we're making progress here in terms of joining up. Peter, why is Octopus Real Estate, who we love you with a passion, why are you involved? Come on.
I could sort of say selfishly, I've spent a lot of my career working in East Anglia, but beyond that, I think from our point of view, it's around having good local authorities who can direct us in terms of the investment opportunities that are available in the region. It's also about having stakeholders in those areas which are truly engaged and wanting to do things. And I think East Anglia, you do see quite a clear sense of identity across all of the counties. There is some difference from east to west, and I've spent most of my life in the west of the region. But certainly what we see is a part of the world that's open for business. We're an impact investor as well. So across the region itself, there's a great degree of diversity, whether it's issues around very constrained markets in the south, in Essex, in terms of affordability, which is constraining economic development, or shortage of housing supply in parts of Suffolk and Norfolk, where potentially you've got things like offshore wind, which is going to drive a lot of employment, but also the need to then deliver housing, or the pressures you get in the sort of Cambridgeshire region with very high wage growth in terms of industries that are coming in, but also an existing population which is potentially quite low income, and supporting those people to find adequate homes and enabling the wider dynamic of the economy. So there's quite a variety and quite a lot of reasons why we would be there.
You do really love it, don't you?
Yeah.
And sorry to do this, but I've got to lead the witness. When you say you're an impact investor, do you mean you're a social impact investor?
Yes, so we're a social impact investor
Tell us what that means.
So, I mean, because we're investing in affordable housing. So really, from our perspective, what we're looking to do is to help create more affordable homes, which are homes that those people that are going to power the economy in the East are going to live in. If there aren't adequate housing opportunities for people, if you've got employers aren't going to come because they're not going to be able to get the labour base, but also you're not going to have that kind of dynamism in terms of the flexibility of people wanting to be there either. So you kind of got this sort of those two things needing to be in place, as well as to some of the other things you're looking to do in terms of infrastructure. If you can't get the housing right, you can't deliver good health outcomes, good education outcomes. All of those sorts of things are really, I would say this because it's my life in terms of delivering housing, but these are all critical in terms of making sure you've got a dynamic and valuable economy.
You are wonderful. We'll invite you again. So Jack might be our keynote speaker, but of course he hasn't got a microphone. Can you share? Would you mind? Jack, economic, technical strengths of the east side of England? I don't need to persuade you.
No, you definitely don't. I think I'd make a couple of broad observations, and Peter struck on a few of them. Look, we've got incredible heritage and history in a number of sectors in the east of England. I think about my own backyard. We've got Port of Felixstowe, one of the largest container ports in the UK. We've got Industrial Park, a fantastic home for telecoms and obviously all the energy. But what's really clear, although we can be proud of our heritage, that alone isn't going to protect us for a changing world. And we certainly can't be shackled about it. And if we're being really honest with ourselves sometimes, and I know this from growing up in sleepy old Debenham in Suffolk, we sometimes don't like change and we're very good at saying no to things. We've got to stop saying no to stuff, work really collaboratively. And actually, and this is the point where Peter was making, I talk a lot about size, well, C, for example, to the point where I've started being called the nuclear Bob Geldof by government because I keep going to them and say, give me your money, basically. It's only £5 billion. They'll find it down the back of the sofa, I'm sure. But I'm not just talking about as important as energy security and empowering 9% of the UK's homes. I'm also talking about the 500 jobs we've got, a jobs guarantee with Sizewell C, which will come from Ipswich, the opportunity that will give kids growing up to get skilled, well-paid, secure jobs. But I'm not also just talking about that. I'm talking about our town centre, which has seen better days. I say to people, well, I could fill every single empty unit in Ipswich town centre, but who's got the money to go and spend a bit of cash on a Saturday or take their kids to the cinema? So these things actually aren't in silos. These projects aren't silos or a one-off. These are catalysts to actually far better regeneration schemes, driving investment and supporting jobs and supporting our local communities. So that is why stuff like this is so important, and why it's important we collectively get behind them as well.
You've got Peter going now. Peter?
So I just want to briefly add to that in terms of, I sort of touched on at the beginning, it's really important to have, through local authorities, combined authority, these sorts of guys signposting into opportunities, sort of asking about sort of being a social impact investor. Ultimately, what we're really doing is just investing in homes.
Yeah.
But by working with the proper stakeholders, we can invest in homes in the right place. So they're not just providing homes for people, but they're also linking in with the wider economic requirements of the region. And so that's really key for us to be working very closely with stakeholders, and having events like this for stakeholders to be reaching out to investment market, because there's a lot of investors out there who don't just want to invest purely for return. And what's really cool is if you're investing for return and you're getting some wider social benefit from it, and potentially environmental benefit.
So you and your peers in other investors would welcome this sort of initiative with open arms, really?
Definitely. And I think also it's quite important as well for local authorities to be engaging with investment houses, because not all the money comes in the same shape and does the same thing. So there's different courses for horses, or horses for courses. Yeah. So it's really important that you're kind of thinking about, our money will do one thing, but a different investment manager or a different investment vehicle will operate in a different way.
And the joy of the East of England working together is that through the one portal, we can potentially drill down into what sort of investment a particular proposition would need, and direct them in the right sort of way. So it's quite an invaluable process, really. Right, let's talk about local government then, because obviously that underpins all of this. And we are talking about, in the main, projects that have been brought to us that are public sector, at least partly owned, if not wholly owned. Local government is in a real state of flux, isn't it? We've got the combined authorities being formed, and you're still only bedding in, really, no matter how hard you've worked, Rob, and I know how hard you've worked. We've now got local government restructuring, we've got devolution. Things are in something of a state of flux, really. Is that an opportunity for inward investment, would you say? I'll start with you, Rob, and then I'll just work down. Actually, I'll go Rob and then Jack and then you, Peter.
So I think devolution is and the opportunities within the white paper and what's going to happen across the landscape of local government is a massive opportunity. I've said it before to some of the people in this audience. We've been working on a local growth plan with our local authorities in our area, but local growth plans and an infamous thing called a remit letter. It's like Fight Club, right? I've been working on it since July, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. It's a very strange experience. However, it's really, really important, because that is going to be actually what's going to happen in other parts of the country as more devolution rolls out. You may have seen on Monday night the Northern mayors launched the Great North as quite a big point around joining up economic and infrastructure corridors. And actually, Paul's had to go, but he's the only elected mayor at this point.
Paul Bristow, the new mayor of Cambridge and Peterborough.
Sorry. But I'll just call him Paul, right? But the important thing is, actually, the more we can get of those devolution opportunities, and yes, there'll be some pain getting there, I understand that, it has challenges, actually that will strengthen this area and this region, where actually, and this investment prospectus sort of helps to start that. But there's so many opportunities to draw in funding and work directly with government and different investment propositions through that devolution model. And actually the conversation we had today is actually about the skill set, because some of these things, it might be owned by a local authority, it might be a partnership, but some of the skills we need to be able to develop the type of deals and the type of financial arrangements, we are going to need to use those investment organisations, because we won't have those skills in the public sector. That's not a criticism, it's just a fact.
Yeah. So we need the partnership. Jack?
Yeah, I mean, partnership's a really key word. I think, look, it's absolutely no secret the local government has had a really tough time of it, and that's a bit of an understatement for the last sort of decade. But look, our headroom as well as the government is limited, even though we've massively increased the amount of capital investment that we've guaranteed. I guess the bit I'm driving at here is that we can't expect government, whether it's local government or national government, to necessarily fund absolutely everything that we want to do. We will absolutely put the resources where we can for critical infrastructure. But I think the really good thing, and you touched on it there, Jackie, about this prospectus is, when I say these are investment-ready projects, these are projects that have largely been taken through by local government. If I can be really parochial for a moment, it was the Ipswich Borough Council who put forward the plans for a brand new swimmers pool. It's gone through planning. Basically, again, sorry, sound like a Bob Geldof figure here, but if you give us the money, we can start building tomorrow, and this is the really crucial thing. So my job as an MP or as wide part of government or a local authority's job is to help support and facilitate the environment where we can help these things flourish. And I think that is what we're seeing really, really strongly through this perspective. If I can really quickly add about devolution as well, I completely agree. I think it offers us, been a massive supporter for devolution. If we had something, for example, like a Greater Ipswich Authority, we've shown time and time again that if we've got the strategic teeth to be able to deliver stuff, we have done, and we've done that in the past in spades. But the other thing that's really crucial is we can't stop and wait until that process is over. I don't want to lose some of these projects over the next, because we're waiting for 3 years for the lines on the map to be sorted out. Actually, the window is really, really limited for some of this stuff. We've got to crack on now, and there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be able to do so. So yes, devolution gives us fantastic opportunities going forward, but we can't wait for it. And I'm really, really pleased that actually right across the East, we've got an incredible presence here this week. We're not only just sat in this pavilion, we'll be in the Greater Essex one later. As Jackie said, we will have a drink in hand as well, so it's not better but different maybe, Jackie, but fantastic presence where all the local councils in Suffolk have clubbed together to get a stand. We visited Hertfordshire, Norfolk as well, so we've got real representation right here, and I think that's really, really important too.
Peter, do you want to talk about devolution and local government restructuring, or do you want to pass? It's a bit of a rabbit hole for you, isn't it?
I was going to briefly touch on it, because one of the things that really excites us around devolution is the ability to have a much more engaged conversation about public subsidy going into what we do, because ultimately you can't deliver affordable homes without some form of subsidy going in, whether it's through the Section 106 system or whether it's coming directly from central government, as it is at the moment. And at the moment, with the grant funding to support affordable housing coming through central government, it's much more a numbers game. It's much more about, we're going to deliver X amount of homes for X amount of pounds, rather than thinking about, are we really delivering the right kind of homes in the right places? And it comes back to the point I was making before around, and then are those homes going to provide deeper economic engagement so that they're not just housing people, but they're kind of creating jobs and some long-term sustainability. So that's the bit that's kind of exciting for us, and we're quite enthused about the devolution happening, because it brings the ability to bring funding and capital into the hands of local authorities in a much better way than currently is available.
You are a total credit to Octopus. Do you know that? You are really are. I can tell you've had public sector experience. You really do know how to walk the walk, don't you? Right, I'm going to throw it open to the audience in a moment, and I'm looking for, Wonder Woman, she's there. The wonderful Connie's going to come around with the microphone. But before we do that, I've just got one last question, really, from me to Jack, really. Your extraordinary experience in the energy sector, Jack, have you been dipping into that a bit for this work? Because obviously there's a massive opportunity on the east side for energy-related investment, isn't there?
There absolutely is, and I've talked about my own backyard and the opportunities of Sizewell, but we've got long-term offshore wind, solar, hydrogen in certain areas as well. But actually, what's really crucial to me about this sort of investment, and again, it speaks a little bit to Peter's point, is making sure that it's sustainable investment. And I don't just mean on sustainable energy producers. I mean that when Sizewell comes, we make sure we capture as many of those jobs, that investment into local supply chains, and actually build it out and use that as an opportunity to inspire. And I don't want to say, when the circus leaves town, but I want to make sure that whatever we do, we become a hub. And I mean, I really often say our government's mission is to become a world-leading superpower when it comes to clean energy, but there's absolutely no reason why our region can't be its beating heart. We're already delivering an enormous amount, but actually we can go even further. This can be the industry that is our pin-up for the next 50 years if we get this right.
We love the beating heart. We love the nuclear Bob Geldof as well, by the way. I think you've got to own that.
That's for this evening's drinks. A bit more.
You've got to own that. You've got to populate that. We love that. We love that. Give us your money. I can't do Irish. Right. Who's got a question for my wonderful panel? Come on. Come on, guys. I know it's been a long day. I mean, really. One hand at least. Oh, I don't know what to say to you. Okay. What are the biggest opportunities then? What are the real big ones, right? Start with you. Where's our reservoir?
Well, our reservoir... No. I mean, the reservoir, Fens Reservoir is really, really important, right? It's going to be one of the first reservoirs built for 40 years. It takes 3 years to fill up. So that gives you a bit of sort of size thing, to be honest. So, the point is actually, the opportunity here is getting all of these things in the way that Jack said, actually. Let's get these propositions. We'll be doing the same with our local growth plan to be crisp and ready to go, because actually that's then how we get the funding. I'm selfishly going to say, for a mayoral combined authority that's already in place, I want an integrated settlement for our area. When we get an integrated settlement, that'd be a game changer for Cambridge and Peterborough, and for then the following mayoral strategic authorities, that will also be a game changer, because that gives you the opportunity locally to be making choices about investment in a completely different way and moving money around and not having to go back to government and check. And I think that's a really, really important aspect of where devolution goes to.
Well, you must let us know if there's anything we can do to support you in that, because I think we need you to get an integrated settlement, don't we? Peter, what size of project will you look at? I mean, you guys, you don't get out of bed really for small beer, do you? So what sort of thing would be the ideal proposition to come across your desk?
It's quite small, actually. So for us, we'll kind of look at transactions from sort of £10 million plus in terms of where our investment goes, and actually we'd probably rather it is that kind of size in terms of risk spread. Actually, the smallest investment we've done so far in the fund is £3 million, and it was in Peterborough. So we will go quite small, but. Put it this way, I had hair before we started doing small transactions, so there is a limit in terms of what we've actually got physical capacity to. So our interest is in to do small things, and in fact, in a different region, I'm talking to a couple of community land trusts and another
region. Are you dealing somewhere else? No. Well, no, we don't like that. We want you for ourselves.
So somewhere else.
Sorry.
We're talking to community land trusts about how we could potentially do some smaller schemes and bring in sort of rural investment into what we're doing. So it isn't just sort of looking at big sites in urban areas, but delivering opportunities in areas which are where there's genuine housing need and potentially there's been a history of undersupply. But that's difficult for us to do. So that, again, we're looking at working with the particular community land trust in this place, and we're also talking about working with another fund that will do stuff at a smaller level, but providing them with a guaranteed exit. So we're quite keen to kind of really engage at the right level.
Yeah, very good. Jack, what do you see as the greatest opportunities for the east of England?
I'd probably split this into sort of short, medium, and long-term aspects. I mean, you've already kind of touched on it, Jackie, but when you said gathering was ruthless, I think there's one way to put it. But I think actually the real point that we're trying to make here, and we've said this about investment ready a number of times. So we've got this collection of projects that we want to get over the line tomorrow, and so if you gave us the money, we'd be able to start building them. So the short term, obviously, is to try and get as many of these projects on this prospectus funded. The medium term is if we deliver these this year, we want to come back next year and the year afterwards with the next set of them. We can come in then with those projects which by no means were poor quality or anything else like that. In fact, quite the opposite. They're fantastic, ambitious projects for their areas. They might not just have been in an investment-ready place just yet. And so you can be in danger sometimes of being a bit war and peace and come with, say, 30, 40 projects, but in all varying stages of development or ambitions, actually, we just get a little bit lost. And so the real standout ones, we might not be able to get over the line. So the medium term, as I say, come back next year. We'll have that record of delivery in the east of England. You gave us the money. We've delivered in this prospectus. We'll come back next year. And then obviously the long term, this prospectus is worth around about £4.2 billion worth of projects. We keep doing that year in, year out. I want tens of billions of pounds worth of projects delivered to the east of England. And we absolutely can do it. We know we've got the expertise. We know we've got the skills. We certainly got the ambition to do it. So that's the real kind of long-term aim, is we keep this going every single year. We keep backing the east of England and selling it as well collectively. That's tens of billions of pounds worth of investment into a region. So that's the real ambition.
You are our hero. So without further ado then, I'm going to ask this platform to get off and the new platform to get on, because you need to hear what it's all about. Can I ask you please to join me in thanking my panel? Sorry, it's when I fall off the...
It's okay. How about I do a quick introduction to Joe? I'm Gavin Winbanks, as mentioned earlier on. Joe Dancy is the Director for Regions at Canada Consulting. And when we got set the ambitious task of building the investment prospectus, Jack and colleagues associated with the All-Party Parliamentary Group for the East of England went out to a variety of different stakeholders. And one of the most... so this wouldn't be possible without the support both provided in kind, the knowledge and intelligence of a series of partners, but the ability to actually do this work at the pace and the scale that we've done, and to the calibre and to the quality. And this is not at risk of turning into a love-in, and you want to see the prospectus at some point in time. So we'll get to that very, very shortly. But I just wanted to open before Joe says a few words, to say a massive thank you to Canada and the vote of confidence that they've not only shown in the work that we've been doing, but Jack's goal and ambition for the East of England, but also in bringing this work together. So with that, I'd love to invite you to say a few words. Thank you, Gavin. I was going to say, actually, there's a lot of love in the room today with Jackie and you guys. So hello, and great to see you all here today. It's always reassuring when you can see Pavilion stacked to the rafters. So when the opportunity arose for Canada to support Opportunity East with this investment prospectus, well, really we jumped at the chance. It's hard to think of a more exciting time to be working in the East of England, when across the region we're seeing a resilient and collaborative drive for the promotion of sustainable growth. Partnership is vital, however, as this growth can only really be achieved if local, national and regional government work closely with the private sector and regional partners. Delivering bold, proactive and dynamic solutions to attract investment, drive innovation and build lasting sustainable partnerships will be key. It's this dynamism and coming together of partners that excites us and aligns very much with our skill set and priorities here at Canada. It's for this reason that we celebrate this investment prospectus as we look to broaden awareness of the extensive Eastern opportunities to a wider regional, national and global audience. So sustainable development is very much at the heart of growth for the region. Whether this is quality commercial development to support the region's high levels of employment, excellence in innovation and market leadership in areas like science, technology and agriculture, vital infrastructure working towards net zero with a focus on renewable energy, or residential development to meet significant population growth whilst protecting the environment. All of the partners in this prospectus are ambitious, both for themselves and for the region, understanding that long-term growth has to be both deliverable and enduring.
Of course, as greater powers and responsibilities are devolved from central government to regional authorities and bodies, new and exciting opportunities are beginning to present themselves. Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, as a mayoral combined authority, are already realising those benefits of more control over local funding and policies, as well as the opportunities to boost economic development, address skills gaps, and improve local transport connections. With both Greater Essex and Norfolk and Suffolk now part of the government's fast-track devolution priority programme, more of the East of England will soon be able to maximise the benefits of locally tailored and more agile decision-making powers. We hope you find the East of England investment prospectus informative and would certainly encourage you to reach out to both us and project partners to discuss the wider opportunities across the region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jo. So on the screen, you'll have seen some of the projects that have been selected as part of the prospectus, and they'll be on a rolling display. I have purposefully and slightly naughtily inspired by Jackie to kind of make sure that all of you take a card on the way out and you can get access to the full prospectus. I thought if we put the prospectus under your desk, you're not going to listen to any of our fabulous panelists that all came beforehand, and rather that would have you much prefer to have you scan the code and follow what's going on. So you have both a card at the on the outside, and also you've got a copy of it. And in the front of the prospectus, what you've got is some amazing aspirations and articulation of all the good things that are happening within the East of England. Excuse me. And we've worked very, very closely with the team at Local Government East, who have done some great work in articulating the benefits of the region. And then additionally, we've got a series of projects, as mentioned earlier on, which demonstrate a variety of different sectors where there is benefit and value. So we've ended up with 8 sites valued at 4.2 billion GDV, as you've heard from Jack. And we're demonstrating real estate sectors such as life sciences, agri-tech and advanced manufacturing. And I think one of the things, to the point made before by Jack, the intention was to make sure that for UKREiiF, the Real Estate and Infrastructure Investment Forum, that we had real estate projects that were credible and that we're able to take to market. There's a variety of other projects that we would have loved to have included. And I see colleagues from across the region who have amazing projects that are looking for occupiers. And in a future iteration, I think that is something that we'd love to really be able to bring to the fore. Amazing schemes on food and ag tech that would be great to be able to showcase to the international community. And we've already begun our conversations around the investor community to make sure that people are aware of this. And the intention is, following the launch, is to bring forward a series of conversations directly with the investor community. In summary, the projects that we've gone forward with are the Aviva Chesterford Research Park, a leading location for life science in Ushelford, Essex. Sorry, I'm having a tongue-tied moment. Seeking the opportunity for expansion to meet significant demand in the Cambridge life sciences market. The Bushy Golf and Country Club redevelopment, and it's a redevelopment of the site to deliver a mixed-use scheme of housing, retail and community uses. And I know that we've got some of the developers in the room who are represented here today, so we want to make sure that as we continue these conversations, that you also connect with both the inward investment agencies that are leading on this work, but also the promoters. We have Cross Point Logistics Park, a GDV of 500 million, a net zero logistics and industrial park. Greater Brookfield, Broxbourne, seeking capital investment to unlock enabling infrastructure and accelerating delivery of a mixed-use retail. Hatfield Innovation Campus, which we've been working closely with on the work that we do in the Innovation Corridor. The Portman Road development, which is really exciting because when we set the challenge to bring projects forward, we have 3 individual projects that exist within that scheme that are able to reach the 100 million threshold, which for most of the large-scale institutional investors, recognising the points that Peter made before. But my experience of running the capital investment team for the Department for Business and Trade for about 6 or 7 years is that the institutional investors are only looking at projects at scale, and you get a different type of finance and a different type of investor when you start to go beneath that. But also making sure that we're able to showcase all the projects that are available in the region. So excited to see Portman Road and also the South End Airport Business Park, as well as also Station Gateway, which is hugely exciting, seeing what's happening there in Stevenage. I suppose you will all receive a copy of the link to the prospectus, all the cool data points that we've got. I would encourage you to read it. I would encourage you to share it with friends, investors, work out ways of getting involved. But most importantly, I think this is a hugely collaborative effort, and I could not be more thankful both to Canada, to the leadership of Jack and the All-Party Parliamentary Group for the East of England, but also our program sponsors, Winkworth Sherwood, who are contributing to the development of the work more generally, CPCA, Essex, but also the people at Invest Norfolk, Invest Suffolk, Invest Hertfordshire. There's some amazing people, and I apologise if I've forgotten anyone else, because this is a whole team collaborative effort. And I think what we've tried to do today is bring forward a proposition that we can showcase and build on it over a period of time to make sure that we're able to present the investor community a variety of different propositions. So with that, I'm going to finish the session for this afternoon. Do grab a copy of the cards on the way out, find out more. And as Jack foreshadowed, at 6 o'clock, we will be having an informal reception, bit more networking, maybe some alcohol involved, maybe not. But come along, we're there from 6 till 7 o'clock and have a bit more of a conversation, find out more about the projects, and we're delighted you're able to make it. So thank you for your contribution to the projects, and thanks for coming along today. Thanks, everyone.